I, I still fail to understand the way the parole system works in this country. We have many cases. We had the killers of Jamie Bolger most recently. And when they've been out once and recalled, I've always thought surely they shouldn't get a second chance for parole, should they?
Well, the Parole Board is almost a law unto itself.
Yeah.
And the idea is that we're aiming to rehabilitate people, that it isn't just about incarceration for life, that it's actually about trying to see whether you can help these people lead a different life. And very sadly, in many cases, the psychology of them just makes it very difficult for that to even take place. There is a lot of psychotherapeutic help that takes place within these prisons, but some people don't want to be helped.
No, but there's certainly, obviously, people who are on the Parole Board, Sam, and I'll put this to you, who become sort of hoodwinked by some very clever and quite evil people, you know, because this guy Pitchfork clearly was not rehabilitated, but he somehow had convinced the Parole Board that he was no longer a danger to society. And, you know, what, less than 2 weeks later, he was back inside.
It blows my mind how you can convince somebody, even a Parole Board, that you are no longer a danger to society when you've raped and murdered children.
Are incredibly manipulative. But
that
is
well,
part
exactly.
of their
Shouldn't that be their speciality? Shouldn't they know that they're
exactly. Like, you know, when you do something like that, for example, you know, if you're a rapist in general, it's not about, you know, whether they find the person attractive. It's about power, and with you know, people try to go for vulnerable persons, and this is the case with Pitchfork. You know, he's clearly has that in his mind already, and whether he's convinced the Parole Board or not, he then went straight back and did it. And I don't, to be honest with you, with something like that, I don't think you should get a first chance.
No.
Let alone a second chance, let alone a third.
No. But this is the trouble. I mean, Ella, you might be different on this, I don't know, but you know, yes, there is a right for many criminals to be given a second chance. But I think there are some crimes that you just don't want to be giving
like
a second
white-collar
chance
crimes,
for.
fine. If you'd like tax evasion, fine, give them a second chance. But not the rape and murder of children.
No,
never.
I think so.
No, I disagree. I think that we always have to hold that the possibility of rehabilitation is real. And I don't think we should ever give up on people. But that said, that only can happen, a proper process of rehabilitation can only happen in a system that works.
Yeah.
And obviously we know that from, you know, news that they're basically letting people out of jail early with some quite serious crimes because there simply isn't space, or, you know, with the fact that we know that a lot of rehabilitative work that happens in prison either doesn't happen or it's shoddy. You know, leaving someone like that simply to be in a cell in their own doesn't necessarily magically make a good person.
But of course, before he was officially released, Pitchfork, he was in an open prison, which nobody knew. So he was walking in and out of a town for a good period of time, like 3 months, 6 months. And my worry with what you say is that it's, in theory, it sounds good. But if the manipulative person is very good at hoodwinking the Parole Board and making them sure that they're convinced that he's fine, then the system can't work like that either.
Yeah, my worry is what is the psychiatric involvement in a parole board? Do you actually have people sitting on that parole board who are acutely aware of the manipulations that are being presented before them? Because if you don't understand the psychology of the person you're trying to assess, then you are going to be hoodwinked.
Right.
This person would be an arch manipulator to begin with, like, you know. So a parole board is like is small fry compared to what, you know.
And also we're talking
they
about
would have hidden their own, you know, peccadillos like through their entire lives.
And again, this isn't just about violence. This is about violence towards underage girls, and so there's some form of sexual power around there as well. You need to understand the illness and to understand that it is an illness, rather than, as you say, just a crime that you might be able to atone for.
And maybe even more reason then not to ever let them out if they can't be.
Well, I'm afraid on that moment, on that bit, I am with Ella, that actually you have to hold out hope that people can be rehabilitated.
I mean, I also don't, I'm not, obviously some people have mental illnesses or disturbances or whatever that means that they do terrible things. But I also think that we should, you know, as terrible as this sounds, I think it's worse to give up on an idea of rehabilitation and basically give into the idea that there are people who are just sort of uniquely evil and that humanity contains within it a sort of a loss of agency and an inability to reach anyone.
Yeah.
If we give up on the idea that we can try and reach people, then I think that leads to a very dark.
I'm not saying give up on it.
I'm not saying like Pitchfork. What's the point?
Yeah, but also
why bother?
I'm not saying give up on it, but I'm saying you also have to take into account the safety of the rest of the population.
Yeah.